This is American fighter Chuck Norris.
This is WWE Hall of Famer, the hardcore legend Mick Foley.
NFL legend Steve Mariucci, and I don't start my day without coffee and cards.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy Ricky Williams, NFL legend and herbal connoisseur. And I don't ever start my day without coffee and cards.
Hosted by my buddies, the Bearded Grinch and Mike Blazin' Balliet.
What up, everybody? We are back, Coffee and Cards. It's been a while, been about 2 weeks, but we're going to try to come at you more frequently. Chris, what you been doing in the meantime?
Just on the men, man. I promise this is the final surgery. Had my total shoulder replacement done 2 weeks ago, and now I'm on the men. So 3 to 6 months, I'll be 100%. But this will be the last hiatus I need, PT, and then on to bigger and better things.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you. Hopefully you're feeling better. What's the timeline for that recovery?
Yeah, well, great news is you can be in pain for like up to 3 months after surgery. And
oh, that's good. That's great news.
by 6 months, I should be back as close to 100% range of motion as possible. So 6 month mark is what we're aiming for. So somewhere around March.
Well, hopefully it's sooner or later. At least it's winter where you can't be outside anyhow. And now you don't have to like shovel snow. You can just say you have to get someone to do that for you. So that's always good.
Oh, I'm milking that. You should see my wife having to struggle carrying the Christmas tree down from up in the attic. It's just, I feel like an ass for doing it, but there's no option. But, you know.
Well, it's funny because last time we went live, right before we went live, I saw that you kind of pretended to not know how to do the laundry. So I heard that when I talked to her while you were in surgery, she's taken all responsibilities away from you. So I learned from you and just did all the jobs wrong meanwhile. And I've really lost a lot of my responsibilities around the home as a result too. So I appreciate that lesson. You learn from other people's quote unquote mistakes, but smart mistakes on your end. I like it.
That's husband 101. When you're asked to do a job that you don't really want to do, just try it and fail, and she'll never ask you to do it again.
That's absolutely the definition of working smarter, not harder right there, right?
That's what we do.
All right, man. Well, listen, we got a little, I was talking to, and if you're watching, if you're tuning in, make sure you give us permission to see who you are. If not, we'll just say Facebook user, but we ask you to interact in the comments, whether you're watching on our Facebook page, whether you're watching on the YouTube channel. Please comment, get involved, especially when we get in the picks. If we're talking about products or we're doing whatever, get involved. Make sure we get to see your comments. We'll display them on the screen. And again, if you give us user permission to see your name, we'll see who it is and be able to respond to you directly. So we're excited. But Chris came up with a little icebreaker kind of question for us. And it was, what is the biggest surprise in the 2020 season? And Chris, are you ready? You said you might not be ready to go first, but do you want to just start this off?
Yeah, I gave it a little bit of thought, and then it just kind of clicked to me. And no offense meant to anybody that's a fan, but just how piss poor bad the NFC East is. Like, I didn't project them to be very good. I thought there may be an opportunity for Carson Wentz to bounce back and have a decent season. Miles Sanders in the backfield, got some weapons on offense there. Thought Daniel Jones, with the return of Saquon prior to him getting hurt, was going to have an opportunity to maybe shine and be one of those 2019 QBs to turn it on a little bit. Then you've got Dak down in Dallas with Emmett and those good things happening there. And that division is just straight trash. The fact that we're going to give a playoff spot to a team that's probably going to finish under 500 to me is absolutely ridiculous. I think it should just go based off of conference rankings instead of divisional rankings at some point if you can't get to 500. I mean, can you imagine if somebody goes on a run and you have like the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl with a regular season record of like 7-9?
Well, on that note, I'm going to say that I do not like that they approved just like a blanket statement. If we don't finish the season, we're putting 8 teams in. So what they're saying is if we get to week 15 and we don't get 16 and 17 in, then we're putting 2 extra teams into the playoffs. I mean, in a way, I get it but it should be limited to people who were eligible to make those playoffs. And I mean, I guess it would be, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I just don't like that idea that they're opening it up to even more, because this isn't baseball where there's going to be a series. This isn't basketball where there's a 3-game series. This is a one match. Anybody can win in this league, especially this year if there's on a COVID list. Could you imagine this? The Chiefs come in, Patrick Mahomes tests positive. He's out for 1 game. They lose the first round of the playoffs. They're done, and they lost to probably the worst team that probably shouldn't even have been in the playoffs in the first place. And to me, that's just, they're opening up a can of worms they're really going to regret there.
I agree 100%. So, yeah, for me, it's the NFC East. I mean, at least get somebody above 500 to just have some level of dignity and respect by the end of the season.
Well, my surprise of the year is absolutely the success of the rookie quarterbacks. We came into the season thinking we may only see Joe Burrow and not be real successful at that. And he's actually experienced a lot of success, which he was the one we thought we were going to see. However, we have seen Tua get his chance, and not because we thought that Fitzpatrick would be so horrifically awful with that team that they would have to just give Tua a chance. That Ryan Fitzpatrick was having a successful season, not only in reality, but in fantasy. He was in the top 10, and then to pull him right out from underneath 3 of my fantasy teams and rip them out from under me, and then to see Tua get picked up on waivers, that was devastating. But then you get Herbert coming in based on a sternum injection that went wrong into the lung for Tyrod Taylor. That guy's luck's awful, man. Yeah. He was like a revelation to the Chargers. He's going to revive that franchise. It looks like, even though he's continues that Chargers curse and not being able to seal a game. I mean, you saw the Raiders game last week. Those guys cannot finish it. No. I don't know what's happening. It's like it's intentional to lose at this point.
You wonder what teams are doing. I think your point is spot on, though. These quarterbacks, and it's always these fluke things. I mean, think about it. Where would Brady be if Bledsoe doesn't go down? Brady doesn't come in. Does he have 6 rings? Does he get traded? Is he on a different team? Like, it always seems like it's these kind of like fluke things that happen.
It is so weird you bring that up. For the first time in my life last night, I watched the game like that. I remember. I'm sure I saw it that week in highlights, but I saw the game where Bledsoe went down and didn't realize that he wasn't hurt for the game. He only went down for a short time, and they left Brady in to finish the game. And Brady actually lost that game, was driving down the field, made some stupid throws without using a timeout, not getting the team to the line quickly. So the fact that even after those decisions that they continued to roll with Brady, that actually blew my mind even more. But you're absolutely right. And, we're seeing guys like even Jake Luton, Ben DiNucci, these low-tier, late-round draft guys get a chance. So it's kind of an interesting year. We thought it might be with COVID, but even more so with some of these insane amount of injuries that are happening. So it's kind of nice to see some talent circulate in and out. So, but anyhow, yeah, the QB success throughout the league has been really surprising compared to what we thought it might be.
Yeah, it's funny. This actually, your point lends into our next topic on our new product discussion really well, because if you happen to just scoop up the Jets dirt cheap in any break and you're stockpiling these James Morgans, is this the week that he comes out and just lights it up? I think he's projected to be the starter this week, maybe in front of Flacco. So who knows? You might have a sitting on a gold mine there.
I heard that someone say this week that Joe Flacco must absolutely have a hatred for Sam Darnold, because by losing that game and throwing that interception at the end of the game, he essentially sealed Sam Darnold's fate into being traded, because they're going to be going for a high draft pick, that number 1 draft pick, and getting Trevor Lawrence. And he goes, he must just hate him. He wouldn't train him at first, and then he goes in and takes his job, and then he just makes sure that they lose every game possible at the end so that they're going to get the number 1 pick. Sam Darnold's gone, so I think they're moving on there. Why not try out the James Morgan guy, see if you can get something in a trade for him or develop a talent?
Yeah, and what's going to be interesting there is if Trevor decides not to come out, and then you're having Justin Fields, which is a completely different player. So your offense is going to change dramatically based on that decision there too. So a lot of stuff's going to play out between now and the end of the year. But let's go ahead and roll into, we got quite a few new product releases that have come out. So why don't we kick that off, starting with the new football releases.
So we recently this week, we had Flawless Collegiate, the beautiful briefcases, and Illusions released yesterday. Flawless is always is what it is. It's flawless. It's fantastic. It's super expensive. I can't say if it's worth it or not, because if you get a hit in it, it is. If you buy the briefcase, it can be. Our 4 how it's constructed, if you don't know, is it's a sealed box of cards, kind of like National Treasure, with and it has a total of 6 autos, 2 mems, and then 2 diamond cards is how this is constructed. We did have 2 or 3 briefcases with an extra patch card as well. So, but anyhow, our 4 sealed encased autos were Jordan Love out of 25, Herbert out of 10, Tua out of 25, and a Tom Brady autograph. Man. So when those are your 4 hits out of 4 briefcases, it's hard to deny the value and the excitement behind a product, no matter how expensive it is.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a briefcase that has had a dud, so to speak, in it. My LCS posted something on Facebook. He had one case, he got in and sold it to somebody at the shop. I was tempted to pick it up or not, but at like $2,200, that's just too much of a risk for me. But inside sitting there was the Diamond 1 of 1 Herbert auto. So that guy made out pretty well on that.
Yeah, and that's, I talk about it is that there's only a couple ways to break this, and that's why I'm definitely glad they got rid of it. Looks like they got rid of the college exclusive briefcases. because that was awful for breakers last year when you would open up Ohio State case and immediately 90% of the teams were eliminated from that break. That was devastating. So it was nice to see. I haven't seen any of those this year. Hopefully Panini bit into that feedback and kind of said, okay, we don't need to do this, because there's like two ways to do it. You buy a personal of it and you have to keep all those cards yourself, or you spend a massive amount of money and the best case scenario is 10 teams get a card. So it's a risky product no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah, and then you got Kelly Borger chiming in here with college product. Yeah, see, that's where, my kind of rubber hits the road there is for my PC. I don't mind college product because it's PC and I'm going to keep on to it. And so that's why these products like Flawless Collegiate, we're going to talk in basketball with Prism Draft and Contenders Draft, and even NT Baseball where you get, product that's not designated by team. It's hard for me to get into those unless it's going to be for my PC because I'm just not a huge fan of the college product.
Yeah, and I know that people have different feelings. What's cool about the college product is I think as far as if you're going to sell it or trade it, it opens up the market. Not only does it open it up to the player market, their pro team market, but it opens up to anyone that roots or cheers for or collects that university product as well. So it almost adds an element to opportunities for selling or trading that product, because it opens up that customer base or that collector base. And that's, to me, is why it is a successful product. Not everyone loves them in their college uniforms, but this year, the other side of that is for this year, we just opened up Illusions last night, which was actually a big improvement on last year's product. Mm-hmm. But guess what? They're still in college uniforms outside of the rookie premier athletes. So we are in week 10 of the football season, and we still have players in their combine like outfits, which to me, I'd almost rather have the licensed collegiate product at that point.
Yeah, I think that's a product of COVID, obviously. We know that there's inability to get those pictures, but you figure there'd be some way to work it out. The one thing I find interesting, too, and I don't know if you've seen it any different, but the Joe Burrow, I've yet to see an LSU auto Joe Burrow come out of Flawless. Everyone I've seen has been Ohio State. So he won the national championship with LSU. I wonder how that makes LSU fans, to your point where there's college collectors feeling a little shafted there that everything comes out in the Ohio State uniform. We
have pulled him not in Flawless, but we have pulled him in both unis, and we had people very upset that, why is this in an Ohio State? But you know what? I don't think you're ever going to be mad if you actually get a Joe Burrow autograph.
That's true.
You can easily flip that and buy yourself a nice one in an LSU uniform. But I do get the point there. It's interesting. And you're seeing Panini do that more and more because it's just another way they can kind of piss us off quietly. So they're always looking for ways to do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here after we review the products, because they came out with some news and announcements this week that continue to kind of boggle me and frustrate me and make me not understand why they're making the decisions they are. But real quick, let's hop into Illusions. Chris, have you had a chance to see any Illusions?
I have, and I got to tell you, I'm a fan of it. I like it. I think the parallels create an opportunity to create some really nice looking rainbows. We got to see those through the breaks that you've been doing. Really good color in there. What I like about the product, especially from a PC perspective, is there are some really one-off autographs that you can get out of there. I think I was in a random with you and happened to stumble upon a Willie Rolfe autograph. Like, where else are you going to open a product? The higher end stuff, the National Treasures, the Flawless type product, you're getting the superstar player. So if you really want to round out your PC and get some of these one-off players, a product like Illusions is perfect for that.
Yeah, and I just brought one in because what I really like about it, and I think what sells the product is that it comes with one encased auto. People seem to like that. We did pull late last night the Jerry Rice, and we also did this with a DeAndre Swift out of 10. This is Jerry Rice out of 10. And they have the acetate autos. Again, everything in it stickered, which is what I want to go back to in a minute. But it does give you really nice chance at some vet autos, some acetate autos, which you don't see in hardly any sets anymore. And like you said, the inserts in it, especially the acetate parallels, like this is just a base Josh Allen acetate here, and I'm sure many of you have seen it, but the parallels look really nice with the color they did on it. We talked about this a little bit last night too, is they threw in some names that you're kind of like, really, he's in it? Chris Taylor just said it. We have it right here. Matt Leinart is in it. We pulled two of them. We pulled some like Bud Dupree's and some names that you don't get a ton of sets in. So in a way, it's kind of like, why would they do this? But at the same time, it's nice for a collector to have some options. If it's the same thing over and over again and the same names over and over again, to me, it just becomes so boring to even like get into a break. Because like, oh, good, I get another one of this guy. If I have a chance to get Cornelius Bennett, to get Doug Flutie for the Bills, to get, I'd love to see them bring him into more sets. So to see these guys kind of make a resurgence and be in some more sets, even names we haven't seen in some sets yet, that's a really cool product for me.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, if you're doing it from a personal collection perspective, each one of those players has a story to it that probably, carries a little bit of weight on you as a personal collector. Like to those Cardinal fans, there's something about Matt Leinart, whether you loved him or hated him, thought they wasted the draft pick on him, whatever your, thought process is, it has a story to it. So it's a cool card to have in your collection from a PC perspective.
Now I'm going to take kind of an alternative approach to this. As much as I say Flawless Collegiate is high end, that is for a specific collector. It's on card. It's, nice patches. It's really like quality thick cards. So that's one type of collector. Those collectors generally don't like illusions, and that's okay. That's why I like that Panini puts out such a variety of product. What's cool about illusions is if you just like the idea of getting a good chance at getting a hit or a parallel, this is definitely a good product for you. It comes with 5 hits in it. It comes with a ton of parallels. You're getting an acetate every pack. So this is something, even though it's on the pricey side, I could see someone saying, all right, I'll go buy a pack of this. It's probably coming in at 10 packs. It's probably coming in close to $30, $35 a pack. But even then, you have a 50% chance of getting a hit in 10 packs if there's 5 hits.
Right.
The only downfall of this, and I'll say this, is you have to be careful. I watched a guy at the hobby shop last year on this product buy 1 pack at a time. And when they got to the encased card, he goes, okay, I'll take the encased card. He goes, no, I'm not selling that. And so the guy literally, if he would have bought that, he goes, well, I bought every pack. Can I? And he goes, you bought it if you buy the box, it's yours. I'm not going to sell you that pack. I'm not selling that. That's a different price now. So it's just crazy to me that hobby shops, A, would do that, but B, that a person would think that I'll buy this. Because really, when you buy the packs, you're getting a shot at 4 hits, 2 autos,
Right.
2 wins, when you're guaranteed to not own the case. So that's the same thing. Kelly just asked if Illusion's always been 5 hits. Yeah, last 3 years, 18, 19, and 20 has always been. But the encased card didn't used to be an autograph. In 2018 or 2017 Illusions, it was still 5 hits, but the encased card was never an autograph. It was just like a clear acetate card.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Which makes it a lot less valuable, in my opinion, because that encased card was never really a valuable card.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
Anyhow, yeah. So not to ramble on too much about that, but I do think, like many other products this year, Illusions was an improvement on their previous year's products.
No doubt. So collegiate product carries on over into our basketball releases. We had Prism Draft come out, Contenders Draft come out. You've had a chance to break both those products. What are your thoughts?
Same old story with them. It's very hard to get excited about because we don't have the draft yet. The draft happens on November 18th. I anticipate that we'll have a lot more excitement around that product. To be honest, I opened a couple of them. It's fun. It's a great product to do in serial numbers because it's literally outside of selling packs or doing a player break. The only way you can break it. We don't know what teams these guys are going to be on yet. Typically, the draft has already happened when this comes out, but I think they wanted to stick to their timeline and get this out so they're not backed up on product, which it makes sense to me. But I think there's going to be a lot more excitement around it once we see the draft. But Contenders is Contenders, and usually Contenders Draft, I should say. And usually if you open a box, it's going to either have 4 parallels autographs or no parallel autographs or like 1 on card. It's weird how they stack the boxes like that.
Yeah, this is the time with basketball that it's kind of risk reward time for them because this isn't a draft class where you've got stellar athletes coming out that are well-known names like a John Moran or a Zion or Luka the year before. You've got LaMelo. I mean, Ball's going to come out and he's going to be somebody that people chase just because of the name. But beyond that, it's really just take your chances, right? You're going to get some players, maybe send them off, get them graded, hope that they turn into a Tyler Hero that, shoots up in value, makes it in the playoffs, starts shining a little bit. But it's really one of those, you just don't know which of these guys is going to take off. And it could be 1 or 2 of them. It could be none of them.
But we've talked about this before. That means it's a great opportunity to buy. Right. A great opportunity to when prices are sinking a little bit because people are not sure about what the draft's going to be and where guys are going to go. If you feel good about someone, if you do your research, if you take your time to do that, jump in and grab, even if it's singles and not in a break, grab a couple guys and then maybe hit big on draft day. Maybe hit big 2-3 weeks into a season when one of these guys comes in and has a huge game. You can't wait until then and then say, hey, buying these cards at comps, because comps aren't going to match what people are going to sell them for then. Hey, the last 3, we've talked about this. The last 3 sold were, 25, 30, and 32. Yeah, but he had a huge game 2 nights in a row. They're now 70, 75, and 86, So you guys got to get ahead of that. So now's the time if you're looking to get ahead of a sport, basketball has a great opportunity to buy right now if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and basketball more so than any other sport seems to have the fluctuation in prices from game to game. Football a little bit, baseball a little bit, but it's not typical that they're going to have one game and it's all of a sudden going to be skyrocketing prices. And basketball, literally, you put up a double-double and prices can triple. It's insane. So
it's kind of been weirdly true for football and projections this year too, more than ever, I think.
Yeah, we have seen that a bit more. I mean, Tua just overnight all of a sudden shot up, and now he's being the next greatest thing to Patrick Mahomes in some people's eyes. So it's kind of interesting how that's playing out. So let's round things out with baseball. We don't hit on baseball too much, especially now that we're in the postseason there. NT baseball came out. I don't dabble in baseball too much. I'm an Orioles fan. We haven't had a good team since 1983, so there's not much for me to cheer about. So I'll let you take on your take on the NT baseball.
NT baseball is awesome. My only confusion is, guess what? It's not licensed. And all these people who said, I don't like Panini Baseball because it's not licensed, loved NT. That's what a quality product NT is, because that's how much of a quality product it is. Because even people who don't like unlicensed stuff, like for the most part, and I know there's people that are still true to unlicensed product, it is that cool. We opened up a Mickey Mantle game used jersey booklet. We opened up just some awesome stuff. Ken Griffey Junior use swatches. He has autographs in it. We opened up some dual autograph booklets, some really, really cool stuff. I actually have one box left. I can't wait to get into. We took a little break from it. Because again, not in season, it's hard to want to break it all the time when there's no, fluctuation or excitement around it. But it is one of the coolest baseball products I've had a chance to open yet. So looking forward to doing that more. But yeah, that's all there really is to say about that.
Yeah, I know National Treasures Baseball, as far as I know about it, they're pretty known for their patches. They've got some really nice patches in that stuff.
Someone just said, so if a Pokemon doesn't get caught, it's praise God.
Only if it is a rainbow hollow Charizard.
Dude, I want to talk about it, though, because it's something else. We're going to get into what's coming out soon, but there was one other release that did come out. Well, there was a couple. There's Joe Montana product from Leaf that put out one Joe Montana autograph, a box. It's actually really cool looking stuff. Not moving real well, but we have some of that. If that's something that interests you and you're a Joe Montana fan, hit me up. We'll give you a great deal on those boxes. But it was interesting try from Leaf. But once again, I don't get who they're marketing that to.
Well, they did the same thing in baseball. They did a Pete Rose version where you got a Pete Rose auto.
Leaf did that. Yep, Leaf did the Pete Rose Charlie Hustle edition. Much cheaper version of it. And it was just interesting. I agree. I'm not really sure who they're marketing that to. That they're really focusing on a niche customer base there. So it's tough to understand that one. But the other thing is Super Break. Super Break came out with the Super Break basketball edition recently. We pulled some awesome stuff out of that. Kawhi rookies. We pulled out like old LeBron cards, everything graded in it. The only drawback of the Super Break is it's 1 or 2 cards. So you could we had 2 awesome cards in one, a Zion buyback pink out of 10 from Mosaic, and then another rookie. I forget who it was. I think it was Murray. I want to say a Murray rookie or something like that. And then the next one had like 1 card in it that was less valuable than either of the other 2 that we pulled out of one. So it's just too much volatility in the product for me to really get excited about at its price. Comes in close to $300 for that. So it is risky. But a really cool repurchase product if they would be more consistent in it.
Yeah, that's been a knock on Super Break from a lot of people is the inconsistency there. I know they have a big thing where they've got these like mystery prizes that you get and someone sent off for it and got it back. And it was like this framed Mike Trout and it had his glove. It's supposed to be his batting glove in there. It was literally like the finger was cut off and put just behind a little piece of glass with a picture of Mike Trout. I'm like, that was the worst looking thing I've ever seen. So a lot of inconsistency there, but again, isn't that with everything? It's hit or miss.
It is a really cool product though, because you can get cards that you can't really get unless you go buy them specifically. So It's nice to add in the breaks. But the reason I bring it up is Pokemon. I just ordered some of the Pokemon one that's going to have some of the buyback of the better Pokemon cards. So we've had a lot of requests for that moving forward. Pokemon seems to be gaining a lot of interest. I figured why not dabble in it? We've been dabbling in UFC just came out. We tried that. Historic autographs is interesting. We tried that. I don't know how I feel about all of them, but it has been cool over at Blaze, and we've tried some new things upon the request of others, and it's been a blessed opportunity for me, and I appreciate the group allowing me and give me the chance to open a lot of that because it's cool to see that firsthand product you'd never get to open or even choose to open on your own. So I appreciate you guys for letting us do that. But real quick, do you mind if I go through the what's coming out list?
No, go for it.
I'll do a 2-minute rundown. On the 18th of November, scheduled to come out is Immaculate Basketball and Rookies and Stars Football. Rookies and Stars is a Breaker exclusive or online retailer exclusive. It's super allocated from my understanding. But I like the product. We'll talk more about that if we do another episode before then. And then Prism No Huddle is scheduled to come out 2 weeks prior to the hobby. My understanding is that still manufacturers have not communicated with distributors in the fact that when that's going to be shipped, they're worried that that's going to get pushed back. I wouldn't anticipate that getting pushed back to like a day or two before, like a week before, or even the day of or shortly after the hobby. So again, 11/18 coming up next week. Actually 6 days from now, Immaculate B-Ball, Prism No Huddle Football, and Rookies and Stars Football. 11/25 is one and one basketball, which I think is like Panini One Football.
Oh, cool.
Is my understanding. And then Impeccable Football comes out, which is an absolutely gorgeous product. It comes and goes like a lightning bolt, man. If you don't look, you don't see it. So, I mean, it's super short print, super high-end stuff, really cool stuff. And then 11/27 is Premium Stock Hoops. So, again, like they just did Donruss Clearly, this is a Premium Stock Hoops product, which is like a remake. Yeah. And then on 12/2, the first product in December is going to be the Prism Football Hobby. I had to sneak that in, even though it's next month, because that's obviously the most anticipated one of the year, probably. Pre-selling at about $11.50 a box. And then not down to 2 autos is my understanding. We'll talk more about that then, but I did want to say that it's cool to see that Panini's trying new products, 1-and-1 basketball, premium stocks, hoops, bringing in the no huddle variation of Prism. Yet they come out this week and say that due to COVID and, the difficulty to get things printed and produced, we are not going to be able to make the Cyber Monday or Black Friday free promotional packs that we have done every year past. Wait, you can produce all these extra sets, but you can't give out these promo packs that you've done for years that people get excited about. That's something, a little bonus to your collectors, a little bonus to your distributors, bonus to your sellers. You can't do that. Tell me what your thoughts on that are.
I think Panini's nickname is the farmer because they are absolutely milking everything. They're milking product by coming out with 15 different variations of the same thing. They're milking their customers by making them pay top dollar for product and taking away freebies, giving them points instead of redemptions. I think, Panini's smart. Nobody else has the license to put it out there, so they're going to do what they need to do. And we either say yes and have to just pay up, or you don't buy it and you miss out.
Well, I want to address this now that you brought up that they have the license. How is it not a monopoly? They do bid on these contracts, is my understanding. They're under contract. So people have the right to go in there and say, hey, next time it's up, we want our shot at it. We're going to bid. Panini's not going to get outbid. Cards are just my understanding is cards are just a small part of their portfolio. They could even get rid of their sports card market and still be an outstandingly wealthy company. So I don't think anybody's going to touch them. My understanding is that they want to buy out Topps. They could buy out Topps in a snap. That's how big and international this company is. So I don't think they're worried about losing that licensing if they want to keep it, but that's why they have the right to it. They pay for that. They pay a lot of money to be the guys that can produce these, which isn't uncommon in business. People pay for those rights to have exclusivity. But I do think that you're right. As long as people keep buying it, the thing that bothers me is that they try to fabricate and, muddy the waters with blaming it on other things, which isn't uncommon in business, but just come out and say it. We're not producing them this year because we don't need to, but they're not going to say it. Same thing with the Kobe redemption announcement that came out this week. Even though it was widely reported that, Kobe went in the week before he passed. And again, it's not comfortable to think about that it should matter, but people pay a lot of money for these products. Kobe went in and fulfilled his end of the deal. Panini, in a greedy fashion, is saying, well, we're going to do the ones that we can, even though they have them. But if we can't, we're going to give you 50% of the Beckett value in points.
Crazy.
50%.
You have to be a single thing of points that's worthy. I mean, to get a decent autograph, you have to have 150,000 points. You know how long it takes to accumulate 150,000 points?
Hopefully that would be the amount they would give you for a Kobe auto at this point. And again, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they're absolutely telling the truth. And if they are, then so be it. That's awesome of them to even honor it. They said expired redemptions will receive like a pack or something of a Kobe exclusive. But if they down the road magically come out with a Kobe product that has like sticker Kobe autos in it, or these exclusive items that were supposed to be evolved in redemptions, to me, that would be a very, very not even just a bad business decision, but just so unethical because of what happened to him, and then to take advantage of it on a price point. And so that would be the most frustrating part of it. But again, like you said, we would have to do something about it as consumers, and I don't know that we will. The final thing I wanted to drop real quick is, if you didn't know, last time we were breaking a product, I think it was XR, they decided to release the announcement that they're doing surprise Panini points. You didn't know what you were going to get. Some of these cards are selling upwards of $60 to $80.
When you told me that, I couldn't believe it. That is just insane.
What would you have to, like, how many points would it have to be worth? 2,500 to make that worth that? Is that about?
Probably at least, yeah.
Well, 300 goes for like 150 points goes for like $3, right? Is that my understanding?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Something like that?
Around there, fair market
Let's
value.
go $5. So, I mean, for 80 points, you're talking, 15 times that.
If you're spending $80 divided by 5, that's 4,000 points.
So you got to get at least a 4,000 point cards. I'm wondering how often. I haven't seen any of them redeemed. I haven't looked too much into it, but that just blew my mind to see. I'm wondering if that continues to, if they continue to hold that value, that's a big pull in a pack if you get surprise points. Because if you can sell it for $80, hey, that's more than some of their autographs are going for right now.
But think about it. I mean, Panini's smart in doing that. They're hiding a crap product, 250 points, and wrapping it in a pretty bow to get people excited about it. It's like my favorite movie, Tommy Boy, right? You go in there and you'd be like, I could take a shit in a box and put a guarantee. All you're going to get's a guaranteed piece of shit. That's what they're doing. It's classic Panini. So there you go.
That's fantastic. I love it. Again, but as I bash them, I want to take a step back and be like, I really love their product. I'm not just complaining. I don't sugarcoat things. Things that I love, I say that I love about it. Things that I hate, I'm going to say I hate about it. We all spend a lot of money on this stuff. We all spend a lot of time on this stuff, organizing it, selling it, trading it, moving things around so we can continue to enjoy the hobby that they are, they create this opportunity for us. So it's not all bad, but I do think that they use as many opportunities to take advantage of people's wallets as well. And anytime someone gets taken advantage of, that's frustrating to me.
Yeah,
so
they'll call it capitalism.
I mean, I guess that's in reality what it is. But that's all we have for the cards part of Coffee and Cards. It's time to get into some actual sports stuff. Chris and I are going to go with our picks. And Chris, I don't think we always have the same order. So I'm going to let you kind of guide this conversation since I did 90% of the talking there. And we can start with our picks. Why don't you take the lead here?
Yeah, let's do a little rapid fire Week 10 pick 'em. Starting off tonight, Thursday night, Indianapolis at Tennessee. Indy's getting 1.5 in this game. We are in Week 10. We're on the back end of the season here, the final stretch. Playoff picture starting to kind of form here. So these games each week just become that much more important. I'm taking Tennessee, giving up the 1.5 points in this game. I think this is the time you start to see Derrick Henry turn his motor on and start running. Indianapolis has just been way too inconsistent for me. Phillip Rivers 1 week can throw 5 touchdown passes, and the next week followed up with 5 interceptions. I don't have enough faith in him to carry it across the finish line in this one, so I'm taking Tennessee.
It's kind of crazy that they're only 1 game away from each other to win the South. So there is a chance if they go 2 extra teams, both of these could be playoff teams in the AFC, which is kind of nuts. But I just can't deny Derrick Henry at this time of the year as we head in the winter. I got to go Tennessee. It just seems I could go either way. And again, we're picking against the spread, correct?
Yeah.
And you have them at what is your spread?
This is the most updated as this morning was Indy's getting 1.5.
All right. So because I had them at Indy is giving up 1, so -1. So I'm going to take. I had them at Indy is -1. Titans are getting 1. You have them Indy getting 1.
1.5 is
right.
this morning.
I'll still take Titans. I'll take the Titans -1 on this.
All right. Next game up on Sunday, Tampa Bay at Carolina. Carolina's getting 6.5 points in this game. This was a no-brainer for me. Tom Brady rarely puts up back-to-back bad games. I think he's going to come in hot. He's going to be fired up, and they're going to lay the hammer down on Carolina. Christian McCaffrey's out again for this game. So, the reliable bell cow that they were going to be leaning on is not going to be there. So I easily have Tampa Bay taking care of this one.
If it weren't for 6.5 points, if it were 5.5 like I have on mine, I was going to take the Bucks. But I think that after the way Carolina showed they could play with Kansas City, I have to go when we're talking the spread, Panthers plus 6.5 on this. I do think that the Bucks win this by 6. So I think it's going to be that close, but I'm going to take that extra 0.5 point there and say that Panthers cover that spread.
All right. I like when we disagree. It makes it fun watching the games on Sunday. Next one up is Houston at Cleveland. Mark this down. This is my upset special of the week. Houston's getting 2.5. I think Houston's going to come in and take this game. I think Baker's way too inconsistent. Nick Chubb is coming back, so that's going to elevate Cleveland's backfield a bit. But I don't know. Something just is a hunch to me. I think that, Watson's going to turn it on and Houston's going to take this game in my upset special. So I've got Houston plus 2.5.
I'm going to take the points on that as well with Houston. I mean, lately it seems like Fuller's been on. Deshaun Watson is always eligible for a breakout game. And like you said, I think there's just too many inconsistencies with Cleveland. So I'm going to agree with you and go Texans plus 2.5 on this.
All right, we're going up north. We've got Washington at Detroit. Washington's getting 3.5 points in this. I think Washington could be getting 13 points in this, and it's not going to make a difference. Team is just way too inconsistent. Their quarterback rotation is just always, who's up next. Nothing consistent in the backfield there, and Matt Stafford is due for a big game. Used to seeing him, easily get 300 yards a game, throwing a few touchdowns. I think their backfield is starting to shape up. So I'm going to take Detroit giving up the 3.5 in this one.
I agree completely 1,000% on that. I'm just going to let you roll to the next game. I'm with you, Lions minus 3.5.
This is a tough one because of the spread. On paper, it's easy. Jacksonville at Green Bay. Green Bay giving up 13.5 in this game. It's a pretty wide margin. I'm still going to stick with Green Bay. I think that Rodgers is going to just continue to dominate, show out there in the NFC North. He's going to do all it takes to put up at least a 2-touchdown win over Jacksonville. As much as I like Minshew and his character, I think his time may be up. He's not able to prove that he can get it done. So I'm taking Green Bay, giving up 13.5.
Do we know if Minshew back this week and playing?
I'm not sure if he's starting yet. I think it may be up to a game time decision with his fingers.
All right. I don't feel super great with this, but I think this is going to come down to the Jaguars controlling the clock. And with 13.5 points, I think that Robinson can get enough done to control that game and keep that score close that I'm not comfortable giving up almost 2 touchdowns. I could see this easily being a 13-point game. So 13.5 is what the spread's at.
It's a trap spread.
You're saying it's going to be like a 20-point game.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to take 13.5 points with the Jags. I wish I knew. I don't know if Minshew's playing. I haven't, like you said, I haven't seen it yet. But if he is, I think that's a big game changer. But I don't know. I'm feeling something about that. I like to bet against the Packers, so why not?
Why not? Moving on to the NFC East, the outstanding NFC East. We've got Philadelphia at the Giants. Giants getting 2.5 points in this one. I just don't think 2.5 is going to be enough. Again, another team. I mean, the whole division's been inconsistent, but for me, if it comes down to quarterback play, I'm going to take Wentz over Daniel Jones, just a little bit more consistent there. So in a close one, I still say Philly takes it, giving up the 2.5.
As much as I like to see them go on a 2-game win streak here, the Giants, I just think that the only reason they even got one is it was against the Skins or the Washington football team. Eagles are probably better than their record is right now. I'll go Eagles.
Next up might be the game to watch of the week. This one is going to be, in my opinion, one of the top games. LA Chargers at Miami. You've got 2 of the hottest quarterbacks in the league right now, Justin Herbert and Tua going head-to-head. Miami's giving up 2.5 in this one. For me, I'm taking the Chargers in this game. I think that this is going to be the opportunity for Herbert to prove that he's the cream of the crop in this 2020 football quarterback class. I think he's going to, when it all shakes out, going to be standing there with the 2.5 points at the end of the game, taking this one against Tua. So I'm taking Chargers.
Man, I'm going to take them because I really want them to beat Miami. I'm getting more and more afraid of what Miami's doing in the East and bringing in Tua and the hype around them and scaring me as a Buffalo Bills fan. If this was 3 points, I'd feel much better about it because I feel like this is one of those games where Chargers once again lose from a Miami field goal or something. Yeah. But just out of hope and what I want to happen, I'm going to follow my heart there and not my head so much and do Chargers plus 2.5.
All right. Now's your game of the week. Buffalo at Arizona. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I think
56.5 is the over and under in this. I haven't seen it high all year.
I haven't either, but I'd bet the over. I think, Allen is going to continue to do what he does. His, connection with John Brown and Diggs is there. I'm taking Buffalo, giving up 2.5 in this game, but I just think that Josh Allen at the end of the day is going to have too much firepower over the Arizona offense.
Buffalo's getting 2.5 in this, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm going to take the points with Buffalo. I'm not comfortable with it. It's such a close game. It wasn't like last week where I thought the Seahawks were going to easily roll over us, which was probably one of my biggest surprises in 2020. Actually, if we're going back to the first question, is how we caused Russell Wilson to get 4 turnovers. I think if we can do the same thing to Kyler, who's a very similar quarterback, in my opinion, the way he plays, if we can kind of keep a similar game plan, I don't think Cardinals have as talented as an offense, but their defense is a little bit better. So if we can kind of keep our defense in check, I think we can do it. I'm going to take the 2.5 with Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler's been playing great. To me, he's an elevated Baker Mayfield in the sense that I think he throws better when he's on the run and scrambling, same way that Baker does. Under pressure, he does better given the time. And it's going to happen with rookie quarterbacks and second-year quarterbacks. Given too much time, you tend to overthrow, and those mistakes happen. So, yeah.
I will say that I think Cardinals is one of our coolest defenses to watch of the year. They throw in so many different defensive schemes and stuff. It's really neat to watch them play. So I'm excited to watch that game more than anything. Hopefully I get to actually enjoy it.
Should be a good one. Then we've got, moving on, Denver at Vegas. Denver's getting 4.5 in this one. Vegas's defense, I can't trust them in this game. Drew Lock has been playing much better lately. I think, they've got some opportunity with their backfield to start turning things around and controlling the clock a little bit more. So I'm taking Denver plus 4.5 in this game.
I'm going to take Raiders in the minus 4.5. That line's dropped a little bit. It was -5. So it seems like people are with you. They're probably betting the Broncos. They have to bring that line down a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, the Raiders seem to have those moments. They're 5-3 as opposed to 3-5. Raiders have those bright points. Let's just hope Josh Jacobs can break out of his rut.
Next, it's going to be another interesting one here. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Cincinnati is getting 8.5. I went back and forth on this one. The thing that holds me up on it is the fact that the worst game that Joe Burrow has had to date has been against the Baltimore Ravens with a stout defense. He's not going to get any relief from that with Pittsburgh. Their defense is one of the top in the NFL. So I'm actually going to take Pittsburgh plus giving up 8.5 in this one.
I mean, I can't do it. Not off of the COVID, lack of practice stuff, not after the injury. When you're getting 8.5 points in a divisional game is a ton of points to give up on a game I think is going to be a field goal or a touchdown game. So give me I don't necessarily think they'll win, but I'm going to take Bengals plus 8.5.
I was almost there, but something just told me Pittsburgh, as much as I hate to say it out loud. Next up, this is my lock for the week, San Francisco at New Orleans. New Orleans just absolutely obliterated and embarrassed Tom Brady on national television. As long as they don't have some sort of letdown, which I don't think they will, San Francisco is just beat up. They're going to have backup quarterback coming in, Nick Mullins. So I'm taking New Orleans, giving up the 7.5 in this one.
Oh, that line dropped a lot. I had it at 9. So I already had him at -9. I'm definitely without a doubt taking 7.5. I agree. Saints are playing good ball right now.
Moving on, we got Seattle at LA. This one, Seattle's actually getting 1.5. I think that's just because they're the road team. As we've seen, their defense is very suspect. Russell Wilson coming off of, one of his worst games of the year on his, bid for the MVP. In my eyes, actually, I think Josh Allen might have passed him last week in the MVP race. So he's going to have to bounce back and have something to prove. So I'm taking Seattle plus the 1.5 in this game.
Yeah, Russ isn't going to have 2 games like that in a row. And Jared Goff is the most bipolar quarterback in the history of fantasy football and actual football. You don't know what you're getting. I don't think he's consistent enough. I can't trust. I think this is going to be another, obviously this is over under 55 points. This is going to be a fun fantasy game to watch. But I'd like to see us do like a DraftKings of just the Seahawks Rams and the Bills Cardinals game, just to see what kind of lineups we can put together in a DraftKings lineup. But yeah, I'm going to have to take the Seahawks in this.
Rounding out the Sunday night game, this is my guys, Baltimore at New England. New England's getting 6.5. We talked about it a little bit before off air, and I know how you feel about it. But for me, I just think Baltimore's defense is playing at one of the highest levels we've seen them play. I think Cam is very suspect. He just looks almost confused out there, like he just doesn't know what's going on at times. I don't think New England has enough firepower, and I think their defense is going to give up just enough to allow Baltimore's run game to control the clock. So I'm going to take Baltimore, giving up 6.5 in this one.
Yeah, that should have to be a 9-point spread for me to feel comfortable betting against the Ravens. 6.5 is it's a little scary because the Patriots just had to win by a touchdown. But after that Jets performance, I don't know, man. That was an awful performance, and that's against an 0-8 now Jets team. I can't bet again. Ravens are 6-2. I know they've had their down moments, but they were against good teams. They've played well all around. So, I can't deny that. So Ravens.
I don't know if I would ever hear myself saying that New England would tank for anybody, but are they maybe tanking at this point to try?
It was
to
hard after I saw the way they played the end of that game. It's hard to believe they didn't have some intention to lose that game.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind this is Cam's one and done there. He will not be a quarterback for the New England Patriots next year. Finishing off Monday night game, this is going to be another one of those inter-division battles. Minnesota at Chicago. Chicago's getting 2.5 in this one. I think that's just not enough for me to move away from Minnesota. I think Dalvin Cook is, just on a tear, and I think he's going to continue that streak. I easily am taking Minnesota, giving up the 2.5 in this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of a big Minnesota Vikings fan right now. I have been all year, I think, because they've won me some good parlays and some good bets, and I think they're better than their record shows. I mean, they have down moments. Kirk Cousins, to me, is the downfall there. We've said it before. Yep. People have believed in him too much. They overpaid him too much. But Dalvin Cook is just an absolute beast. I don't know how he's not in the running for MVP. Even on a bad team, he should be, because that guy's just scoring. He has like 6 touchdowns in 2 weeks, which is insane. Consistently every week, he's dominating. So I think he runs all over the Bears.
Well, we've seen it time and time again. If you've got a decent defense and you've got a running back that can help you control the clock, that's a recipe for success in the National Football League. So just a quick recap. We both have Tennessee over Indianapolis. We're split on Tampa at Carolina. We both have Houston over Cleveland. We both have Detroit over Washington. I've got Green Bay. You're taking Jacksonville in that game. We both have Philly over the Giants. We both have the Chargers over Miami. We both have Buffalo over Arizona. We are split on the Denver-Vegas game. We are split on the Cincy-Pittsburgh game. We both have New Orleans over San Fran. We both have Seattle over LA. We both have Baltimore at New England, and we both have Minnesota at Chicago. So it's going to come down to those 3 or 4 games to see who takes the crown for this week.
All right, Chris. Well, I know we were supposed to move from this to fantasy starts and sits, but do we want to do a little Sunday morning edition? Are you up for that? We can maybe hit up our fantasy starts sits either Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, let's do that. I don't have anybody playing tonight, so if you're going to ask me for anything from fantasy advice, would be other than Derrick Henry, I probably wouldn't start anybody on Indy or Tennessee in this game. So
I mean, and real quick, if we don't touch base on that, Indianapolis Colts are too like that running game. Scott said it earlier in a break this week. It's like they have to figure out their identity as a running team, and in fantasy, that's your biggest nightmare is if you have to start one of those guys, because they're like the New England Patriots of running backs right now.
Absolutely.
AJ Brown, if you're not starting AJ Brown, you're nuts. That guy's like top tier talent, man.
Put AJ Brown, Derrick Henry in and let it run.
Yep, I agree.
All right, let's do it. So join us back here. We'll probably say somewhere around 10 a.m. time frame on maybe Sunday morning. We'll go through our fantasy football sits and starts and any last-minute adjustments we might have given injury reports and things of that nature.
Hey, Chris, real quick, since they're going to dog me and ask you, where are we at? I don't even know where you're at we have a Dynasty Fantasy League together that we do.
7-2.
Are you? You're right up above me by 1 win then, right? You're Brahma Bulls.
Yeah, but this week's not going to happen because I've got too many players benched.
Okay, just because of being off and stuff?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll take a look at that after maybe on Sunday before the games. Now it's kind of being competitive. I kind of can't let you beat me in that league since there's too many people that think you're better at fantasy than me.
I'm just scrappy with it. My team, if you look at it on the surface, you'd be like, yeah, they're probably, at 500 or less. But for some reason, I just find a way to piece it out. So
I think what's going to have to happen here is we're going to have to do a Coffee and Cards DraftKings league each week, where you and I both enter in it as well, and we do something like a drawing for anybody that scores above us. I think that's what
I like it. Beat the hosts.
All right, we'll have that ready. We'll have that ready for you, and we'll announce that on Sunday morning. So be ready to join. We'll try to get it out early on our pages, but we'll talk about that on Sunday morning as well.
Sounds good. Everybody have a good rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the first half of your weekend, and we'll catch up with you on Sunday.
And we're getting ready to break our 2-box illusions if you want to hop over our YouTube page again in about 10 minutes.